The cavalry is back. OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson all due to return in the next coming days, games, weeks. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the dark notification bell to get each and every notification for each and every video I put out there. Make sure to also visit UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the code Legion or LOK to get matched up to $500 on your first deposit. Bet all the parlays you can think of in the NBA season, as well as the MLB, NHL, NFL, all the sports you can think of, all the major sports you can think of. Again, UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the code Legion or LOK to get matched up to $500. Hit that rock. First and foremost, before we get started, rest in peace to Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball. One of the first animes that I've ever watched in my life. Fell in love with Dragon Ball, then obviously Dragon Ball Z and all the series after that. But salute to the OG, the creator of one of the greatest shows, one of the greatest creations of all time. Rest in peace. Now, according to Stephen Bondy of the New York Post, the New York Knicks are very close to getting back OG Anunoby and Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson possibly in the next few weeks. Now, the New York Knicks, after beating the Orlando Magic, are in the fourth spot, but it's a really close, precarious position right now. The New York Knicks have about 19 games left, with only about 3 of them against teams really in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference, and 2 with the 76ers and 1 more with the Miami Heat. Now, the most interesting one is probably Mitchell Robinson, given the fact that he's had surgery and really hasn't done any basketball activities. He's just been cleared to start running and jumping, which is not necessarily the most positive sign, but it's definitely something that can help us down the pipeline. Now, according to Tom Thibodeau, in the interview with the Daily News, he said he's making steady progress, but he hasn't had contact or anything like that. It's just the normal progression that he's making, shooting and that sort of stuff. You can script it a little bit with him, and that's where we are with that. Hey, we are just waiting for the doctor's clearance for him to return to play. Thibodeau said he's not a doctor. He said that, so when they clear him, but he's doing well, very well. It's day to day. We'll see where he is. He's making good progress, but he's got to be cleared first to fully play. Now, Mitch Robinson's return would definitely speak volumes for the Knicks. Now, despite the fact that Knicks only dropped from the 6th spot to the 10th spot in opponents' points in the paint, and have actually improved in offensive rebounding, going from 3rd to 2nd. The injuries to guys like Isaiah Hartenstein, the drop in overall defensive rating, as well as the overall drain on the rest of the team to crash the boards, to always be active, to always run rampant all over the court, which can help like it did with the Magic, or it can backfire in games where there's a little bit of a give back and forth between the teams and we just don't have enough energy. Guys are missing shots. Atlanta game, last game, where Mitchell Robinson can definitely take a lot of that drain away from the team. A guy that he would typically have 2-3 guys draped on him fighting for rebounds. This guy was averaging 10 rebounds a game, as well as 5 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds before he got hurt. Was leading the league in box outs, was leading the league in offensive rebounds per game, and leading the league in contested rebounds a game. And so even though the impact is not necessarily direct, given the way that Tom Thibodeau coaches his team, taking off and alleviating so much pressure on all the other guys, especially Isaiah Hartenstein, who fits better to me with the second unit as a playmaker, facilitator, especially when we don't have guys outside of Brunson who can truly create 1v1. Allows Isaiah Hartenstein to stay with that second unit. Like I said, takes drain off the team. It allows the team to maintain its defensive and offensive prowess in the paint and all the boards. Now on to OG Anunoby, who's had arthroscopic surgery to clear out some debris from his elbow. He has just been cleared to start shooting a basketball from the doctors. Now, although OG Anunoby has been out since January 28th, he did have the surgery on February 8th, and so the 2 to 4 week time frame that DeNoble has spoken about should definitely put him in a sweet spot for him to join the Knicks relatively soon. We do have 2 games against the 76ers, and then we go out west to play the Blazers, and then we play some tougher teams in the Nuggets, the Warriors, as well as the Kings right after that Blazers game. And so OG Anunoby could be slated to return to the Knicks in that West Coast trip, maybe after the Blazers game, given the fact that the Blazers, 76ers are 2 relatively weak teams. The 76ers are without Tyrese Maxey, who is out with a concussion protocol. So OG Anunoby, a guy that's helped us to get to a 12-2 record during his time here when he first came into the 27th, a guy who helped us achieve the #1 defensive rating in the league, a guy who's also helped us get to the top 10 in terms of three-pointers made and attempted in the league, as well as help us maintain a top 10 offense despite not having a points per game in the top 10 or even the top 15 during his time, is a guy who will work wonders for this team, a guy that I'm expecting to have a major impact once he's here, a guy who's going to be a plug-and-play guy just like he was when he first got here. Definitely take off some pressure from guys like Bojan Bogdanovic, as well as take off some of our dependence from guys like Alec Burks. But OG Anunoby is definitely a guy who I see on the horizon, especially after that Blazers game coming up on the West Coast trip. Now, last but not least is Julius Randle, who's been out with that shoulder injury suffered against the Miami Heat. Tom Thibodeau has stated that he's going from pad work to light contact, and it's all about seeing the next step and seeing if he can do more and more on the court. Now, with Julius Randle, he definitely has the option of having surgery, and Stephen Bonnie came out with a really interesting article the other day talking about players who've taken a dip in their stats when they opted not to do surgery 1 year and then went into the next season. Now, obviously, Julius Randle could definitely go into the season not having the surgery and then play through it and then have the surgery in the summer, which I would assume he would probably want to do, versus linger with that pain in his shoulder after surgery's over or after the season's over. That is definitely an issue for Julius Randle once he comes back, or if he comes back this season, given the fact that many teams will start to headhunt that shoulder. I could care less what the NBA on the surface wants, but we know that guys like the Miami Heat, physical teams like the Orlando Magic, or teams who are just looking for an edge, period. A team like, say, the 76ers, who will be without Joel Embiid, will definitely send some goons to go out there and but to play rough and physical with Julius Randle on that right side. Now, Julius Randle this season has definitely taken, when he was playing, was definitely starting to transition to a more, well, not transition more, but go back to being much more of a physical player versus the three-point shooting or outside type of guy he was for 3 seasons Tom Thibodeau was here before the season, where Julius Randle kind of favored that outside shot. Tom Thibodeau tried to set him up early in first quarters to get the three-point going, and that's how you get Julius Randle kind of into the offense. If he's into the offense, everybody's happy. But then this season, you saw him take a turn for the better, where he was a little bit more physical. He's kind of abandoning just relying on that three-point shot. Again, he's only shooting 31% from the field. I think 37% on catch and shoots this season, or spot-up jumpers this season, which is not a relatively strong stat. And so the conundrum lies in you bring in Julius Randle. His the best aspect of his game was him going back to being more physical this season, but you have to preserve him because, again, we know they're going to headhunt him, so you're going to put him on the outside where that's not where his strength lies in. And so the gravity you create from Julius Randle, him being the outside, is nowhere near as strong as him being on the inside, but we know what they want to do to him once he's in the paint, when he's in the post-up. And you've seen the stats. The Knicks have shot him better when he was on the court versus when he's not, because, again, the gravity creates in the paint, defenses collapse, the defenders have to go back and try to close out aggressively once Julius Randle makes a pass to Brunson, Josh Hart, Donzie DiVincenzo. And so there's a weird conundrum for Julius Randle. And also think about it this way too. Julius Randle has a contract coming up in 25 and 26. If he doesn't play this season and say the Knicks get to the ECF or get to a championship this year without him, it looks bad on his value. Say what you want. We as fans say, oh, he's a part of this team, but the market may say, hey, we've been having question marks on what Julius Randle truly is, and the Knicks were able to get to the ECF without him. So if Julius Randle does that could hurt his value. Then he tries to come back next season and try to assert himself, and maybe the offense that is perceived to be the new ECF-bound or championship-bound offense, trying to bring back Julius Randle, any early season struggles may definitely put a damper on his value. Again, he has a player option 25, 26, or 29 million. Now, the flip side, again, is him coming back this season and hurting that shoulder even more. Again, I'm not a specialist. I don't understand how, if he hurts his shoulder this season, tries to have a surgery next in the summer, comes back, how he's be affected. I'm no expert, but it definitely doesn't bode well if he injures that shoulder even more. When you look at the upcoming 19 games, when you talk about the Eastern Conference, you typically need around 47 to 49 wins to get into that fourth spot. If you look at data for the past, say, 20 years, outside the bubble season and the 2020-2021 shortened season, you typically need around 47 to 49 wins to get into that fourth spot. To get into the third spot is typically around 50 wins, I believe, around 50 wins. And so the Knicks right now, the 19 games, you need 10 more wins at 37 wins on the season. You have the 76ers twice without Joel Embiid there. That's definitely doable. They almost lost to the Pelicans by 30, or losing by 30 something against the Pelicans mid-game. You have the Blazers coming up as well too. And you have a tough rest of the West Coast trip, and the Kings, the Warriors, the Nuggets. But you do have the Brooklyn Nets, who are this Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Nets twice for the rest of the season. Or at least 2 more times, excuse me. Then you have the Pistons, as well as the Raptors and the Spurs. And you have the Bulls about 3 times. Now, the Bulls are a relatively annoying team, but that's a team right now that's still struggling in the play-in section of the Eastern Conference. And so there's a doable path to get to 10 more wins, to get to that 47 mark, to get to the 50 mark. You're going to need some tough wins against, say, the Warriors. We do have the Kings twice, 1 at home, 1 away, obviously. And so it'll be an uphill battle to climb to get to that 50 wins. But if OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson can all appear before the regular season is over, maybe the Celtics are already in first place, entrenched in that position at the end of the season, kind of let that game go, even though they're probably playing tough against the Knicks, at least for the first half, to avoid us getting anything preferable spot in the Eastern Conference. But these are just some of the thoughts I'm thinking of, trying to get to that those 10 wins to get to, or sustain ourselves in that 4th spot, or even get further up into the 3rd spot with 13 wins out of the 19 remaining games. But guys, let me know what you guys think. Should Julius Randle come back this season? Should he have the surgery? How do you feel about the news of all 3 guys on the positive path to return soon to the Knicks? Is this team an ECF team without Julius Randle, but with OG Anunoby, Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein mostly healthy? Or do we need Julius Randle to get to that ECF spot? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to leave a comment at the end of the video. Also, make sure to go to underdogfantasy.com, use the code Legion, and locate a game match up to $500 on your first deposit. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys being here. Peace, God bless. I'll talk to you guys later.